Hey everybody, this is the second video where I'm talking about my BetterTypes library. Okay, how do you install it? NPM at Alex Merced BetterTypes. Cool. Okay, it's a cool library. It has a lot of useful tools. Okay, and technically there should be a couple more things in here. There should also be pretty sure I also include the fetcher. Okay, so let me add that in there. I'll do a separate video on that. It works exactly the same way it did in the Merced utils library. So if you saw that video, then you know how it works. But BetterString. Okay, so BetterString allows you to pass in a string and do stuff with it. Okay, BetterString. Hello. Is it me you're looking for? Okay. And what do we do here? So I want to play with this. If I wanted to use like a normal string method, because this is not a string, it's now a BetterString. Okay, which BetterString has a property called str, which is the string. But what if I just want to use a string method? I could just affect the property directly, but I built in a way kind of like I did with BetterSet for the use of those methods. So just be my var, and then just be stir math. So if I wanted to use, let's say, split, and I want to split it based on a space, so I have to put, well, actually I have to put another parenthesis. Let's do it this way. Boop, boop, boop. Okay, because the first quotation is because I'm passing a string, and the string I'm passing is a string. So that's why I had to do that, because that's the argument. Always with these functions is the first one says which method, and then the second thing is like what argument do I want to pass in? Pass in a string with a string of your argument you're passing into the function. So I hit save, and that will let me run split, and see I get the split array. Okay, when you use strmath, it returns you the BetterString, so it returns you the BetterString in its current state, and then also returns you the result of the method. So in this case, the split array of the split. Which is neat, because then technically you can chain off either one. I can go chain off the BetterString by going 0 and then chain, or I can chain off the array of strings by going 1 and then chaining off of it. So you'll see this pattern a lot going forward, where I'll return an array and you'll have two different paths you can kind of branch off into if you want. Cool. My var string method, and then there's basically a couple of basic methods like words. This actually just literally splits it into words, just like I just did with rmeth. So this should look exactly the same, except it breaks. I think it's just word. I think that's the problem. I did the same problem a little while ago. Let's see here. Words is not a function because it's word. Save. I keep doing that. Then it broke again. Oh, it's because I'm chaining it off string method. Brr. Okay, there we go. That's what I wanted. Maybe it was words. Yes, it's words. Okay. Thank you, Adam, for your autocomplete. Cool. And there's the array. And then you have reverse words, which just reverses the sentence. Save. See? For looking your me, it is hello. Doesn't quite have the same ring to it. Okay. Cool. There's some other functions all in the documentation. That brings us to the BetterArray, which is sort of the big piece of this. Okay, BetterArray. Basically, the way that works is you pass in an array to the constructor. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And just like the other ones, if you want to use any of the array methods, you can use rmeth. And then rmeth, again, I could just put in, like, let's say I want to push in a value. I would do push. And then I will say, hey, I want to push in 5. And then I hit save, and then I get this. See, it return, and again, it returns me an array where the first item is the actual better array. So now I can see that the better array has the extra 5 in it, but then normally, and then it gives you whatever that actual function returns, which push returns the new length of the array. So it gives me 2 pieces of information I can use however I want. Okay. Cool. So that's how you could use array methods, and you can do that with any array method. But the better array has a whole bunch of methods of its own. Okay? Like you could shuffle the array just by doing that. So if we run this, so then you get a shuffled version of the array. I can do this all day. So imagine you have like a bunch of like card objects for like a deck of cards, and you wanted to shuffle them. This is a way of doing it. You have remove. Remove is essentially the opposite of filter for normal arrays. So if I wanted to get rid of everything, if I wanted to remove everything above 2, I would just do this. So value greater than 2. And then there we go. So now the better array, I get a copy of a better array with all the stuff that qualified removed. Okay, you can map the things. So I can be like, so basically it's map, but you can map to an object. Okay, and I can just do this. So let's see here. Say value, and then value will return an array. And in that array, the first value is always the string, which is going to be the key. And the key is going to be, in this case, because we want to be dynamic, we're going to say key, and then we'll interpolate the value. Key value, and then the second item in the array will be the value assigned to the object, which will just be the value. Okay. So long as I do it like that, and I watch what happens when I do, and I could map anything. I could do like, hey, it's actually going to be value plus 2 will be the value assigned to the key. So it maps it, and then will give me a object with my mapped values. I'm certainly sure there can be some useful situations for that. Or I could even map it to a map. If you wanted to use like non-string keys for whatever reason, because that's like the big distinguishment between like this and a map, you could do a map. Okay. You could also do it as a set. Although as a set, all you need to return is the value. Okay, so let's see here. Instead, I'll just do return value modulo 2. So basically everything's gonna either be like 0 or 1. So, and then again, since it's gonna map it to a set. So again, a set removes the duplicates. So the end result is going to be just 1 and 2. Or 1 and 0, I mean. Because it's either 0 or it's 1. Okay? Cool. And then you can have map to unique, which maps it to a better array, but it removes the duplicates before mapping it to the better array. So if I did this, I'd get the same thing, but it'd be a better array instead of a set. Neat. Cool. There's a whole bunch of functions in there. I think some of the other sort of star players. There's Squish. Squish is just basically a mix of pop and shift. So it removes the beginning, the first and the last element. So it squishes the array on both sides. See, and so basically it returns you the better array with the elements removed, and then also returns you the removed elements. In an array, gives you both things. And everything, basically what the parameters are and what everything returns, it's all in the documentation. I tried to be as descriptive as I could. Other good ones. I mean, basically, I think you guys get the idea. But basically, with this, I mean, I could chain off of that. I could be like Squish, and then if I want to Squish again, I can go back to the BetterArray. So that would be 0 from the return results, and then do dot Squish again. Okay, and then I want to key off the. Oh, then let's say I want to Squish again. We'll use the BetterArray. Or let's say I wanted to pop one of the values that was squished, then I would do 1. Okay, so basically, let's see here. In the second round, it's going to remove 2 and 5. So then if I do this and then I do pop, okay, it's going to remove the last item, which should be 5. So at the end of the day, this should return me 5. Because again, first bar my squish is going to return this, but then we're going to run squish again on this, the 2 through 5. So then it's going to squish 2 and 5 off. But then I'm going to work off that array of 2 and 5 and pop it, which will return me the 5. Just again, the idea is you can start doing some crazy chaining, which is my intention with this library. Cool. So that does that. Okay, and why the obsession with chaining? I just like the way chaining looks and feels. You know, trying to do something useful with a large chain just feels good. Just a little sense of pride. Okay. But yeah, so I think that's the basic gist of how this library works. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. There's also the fetcher object. So I guess I got time to go over that real quick. What the fetcher object does is just make API calls. Okay. So if I were to use that, I would just say, hey, you pass in the API URL there. So I just need to actually go get the API URL. So let's go JSON placeholder. And let's grab an API string right here. And what it does, it just kind of makes a lot of the dealing with making API calls a little bit simpler. So the way I kind of imagine this is that you would just make a fetcher for every URL, or you can make it for like a base URL. You'll see what you can do in a second. So you'd be like const JSON placeholder. Okay, so JSON ph equals a new fetcher. And then you just pass in the string of the URL. Okay. Now every time I want to call it, all I have to do is do JSON ph.call. And then it will call. And then, man, it's been a while since I did this, so let me actually go look at my own documentation to see what do I do there. Okay, so let's go fetcher, superstring, better set. Where are the fetcher piece of the docs? Utility functions, yep, that's all covered. Oh, I guess I didn't include fetcher. Okay, so fetcher is just part of the Merced utils library. So if you do want to use the fetcher, go check out the Merced utils library, and just to kind of show you what would happen. Okay, in here, you could just bring in the fetcher. And the way the fetcher works is, again, just kind of like you saw here, you would just create new fetchers for each of your URLs. And then whenever you need to make a call, you just do get dot, whatever the name of your variable dot call, and pass in your callback, what you want to happen after the call is made. And then if you want to, then as a second argument, you can pass in a config object that would configure so if you want to do like a post route, or a post request or something like that, or put any kind of headers. And then in the third argument, you would pass in a string in case you wanted to add the string to the URL. So you could do is you could have a base URL be your fetcher, and then just keep appending the remainder of the URL as a third argument if you wanted to. So that way you still get this kind of like nice succinct tool to do it, but you don't have to constantly keep making a new fetcher for every permutation of the URL. So I thought that was cool. Maybe I will put it in there. I'll think about it. But hopefully you guys enjoy that. Have a great day.